All right, guys, so Friday fun day, you know. Let's see what happened this week. So this week I went on vacation. I went back to my hometown to see my friends and family, but when I say family, I just mean my childhood friends I consider brothers, so they're like my family. So that trip was awesome. I really miss where I'm from. It's where I learned everything about real estate, and I am considering the idea, or we're thinking about the idea of what it would be like to move back there and continuing what I'm doing. So it just seems daunting to change where I am investing and what that looks like and what a different market is and understanding that. And I think that's probably what everyone is feeling like when they start. And it's the same way I felt like when I started. And I think that when I reflected on if I did the change, what would it look like? And then what would I be looking to buy? And it's very similar to if you were going to buy your first property. I think that's what I have determined. So for me, you know, most likely I won't move. I won't be moving back to where I'm from, even though I would love to. I just, there's a lot of things at play, and um, it just at this point in time for my family, it doesn't specifically make sense. Um, so on on topic here, starting. So where would I start from if I did though? Let's talk about that, like hypothetically. I would buy something that would be smaller than something I would want to buy. So like I would start with something small. I mean, my keys are. I forgot to leave my. I got to stop putting my keys here because they're annoying. Jeez. Sorry, guys. So I think I'd start by buying something that I could market, manage myself, and get a feel for the actual market in that area. Um, so, like for example, would I go out and just buy something monstrous right away that I think I had some huge value add? If the opportunity was there, I don't even think I don't think I'd buy it. I don't think I'd buy that. I would I'd miss the opportunity. There's always, you know, once you learn some techniques, there's always opportunities to be found. You know, I think it'd be more important to me to understand how I was going to fill the spaces and the demand for the assets that I'd be buying. So you know, in the perfect world, I would buy a space that had office, garages, or industrial. So like garage spaces with restrooms and bathrooms. Um, Maybe some outdoor storage area, maybe an apartment unit in it. This is like I like want a property that's small. It has like every different type of property class that's possible so that I could like feel what it was like to own that real estate. The other thing that I would do is before I buy anything or before I move or when I start finding out what I want to buy, and this is something that I think all of you could do. Go online and, go artificially generate an image of a warehouse, or go take an image of a warehouse that you're okay reposting, or you know, take an ad from the apartment you're living in and post it, and like make a marketing ad for a vacant space on like Craigslist or Facebook or wherever you're going to put it. And even though you don't have it, but put it up for rent at a price you think is fair, and see how many responses you get. And then based on the responses and the type of people messaging you and the quantity of people messaging you, I think that's a good way to determine what you should be looking for. So like if I post a ad for an office, a warehouse, or an apartment, and the office gets one response, the warehouse gets 40 responses, and the apartment gets 12, you should be looking at buying warehouses. whatever that might be, or like see what class you can afford to buy and then make ads for those types of assets, and then determine which one's the one that you could actually fill because there's enough people out there looking for that space. There's like a high demand and a low supply based on, this, market test, I would say. So, so that's what I would do. So like, I even consider doing it in a market you're in. So like if you're already actively in a market but you want to change your asset class, go post some ads for that asset class, and then if there is demand for it or what you think is demand, try to find like the smallest deal you can do to start. Um, the other thing about small deals, in my experience, is there's a lot. It's like homes. There's a lot of people buying houses for $200,000 compared to people buying houses for $2 million. Like that's a larger pool of buyers. And when you sell commercial real estate, like if I were to sell a piece of real estate and it was worth 300,000, and I had one worth 3 million, the $300,000 one would get a lot more buyers, and the bank will be way less restrictive on the process it takes for them to vent it. So like if it's under a certain price, you don't need to do an environmental study. That costs a bunch of money and it's a headache. If it's under a certain amount of dollars, your personal income can easily support it, probably, something small. If it's under a certain amount of money and it has some tenants, there's a good chance that you're buying it based on income approach anyways, and that income approach is basically how much it makes and how much it's going to cost you, and then how much is left over, the income it generates, and then the bank will have a ratio, and no matter what, if it's 300,000 or 3 million, that process will still be the same. So it's basically like it hedges your risk in relation to that as well. So I think, to recap, today's vlog is about how to start. So how to start, after just recapping my thoughts, I would look around the market for what I could afford and determine that. You say, take 30% of the purchase price and see how much cash you have or how you're going to get your cash, and determine how much you can afford. And then go find the smallest property that has a few tenants. You can't just have one tenant, but the smallest property that's safe-ish, that has less risk, that you can buy in those markets in the different types of real estate classes. So, office, industrial, um, residential, or, when I say residential, I mean like apartments, multifamily, and then retail. That's another one. But go make fake ads and post them up and see who responds to them and see how much response you get, and then that will help you determine that should help you determine what class you should be going for. Narrow down your search a little bit, and then I would start looking for deals in that property class. So that's how I would start. That's how I think that's a safe way to start. I would also, you know, reach out to someone, if not me, a consultant, if you're just fresh to it. I know you can learn off of watching videos and reading books, but I would say that the money you would pay someone like myself to consult with you on a deal for even an hour, like you pay me $150 to talk to me for an hour, or 300 for 2 hours, or whatever it might be, that $300 conversation could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars, either in positive or negative ways. So like I could save you from losing a ton of money, and I also can make it so you make a ton of money. And it could be like something that I just immediately can tell you that you won't be able to identify yourself, like without, maybe ever, without learning it the hard way. So I encourage you to do that as well. Maybe talk to someone before you start looking. Maybe after you do those few things that I just told you to do, call someone and say, hey, this is what I determined, and like this is what I'm looking for. What do you think about this? And then maybe after you find someone, hey, I found this deal, it's under contract, like here are the income expenses, and here's the property, here's the address, here's whatever. Like, what do you think about it? And like what is my, what's the goal? What's the plan? What are the steps? And this is the way we're gonna go. It's definitely worth the conversation, because it won't take very long, and it could save you a lot of money depending on what type of property you're buying. But so that's just on what I was thinking this morning. So have a good rest of your Friday, everybody, and I will see you on Monday probably.